Hello, everybody. I do believe we're live. I'm going to wait for Vinny to say yes, we're live. Yes, thank you. The mystery voice. All right, so hi, everybody. Hello, Dr. Adriana Popescu.
Hello.
We're back. We're back with a little bit of more Ask the Doctor. So thanks everybody for being here. Thank you so much for your questions. These ones are really juicy and fun. As usual, every time we do one of these, we're also doing it on Clubhouse. So super fun platform, really engaging. If you go on Clubhouse, guys, we'll actually be able to like hear you and answer your questions because it's like a live, it's almost like a live podcast style platform. So like if you want a real live question answered by Dr. Adriana, I seriously suggest you jump on there. And otherwise, we've got some really good questions submitted. So, Dr. Adriana, thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. Busy.
Well, that's actually a perfect little intro to what we're doing. So this particular topic is really funny because it's sort of piggybacking off of like well, I'm just going to say it. I'm getting what I've asked for. Oh shit, now what? If any of you saw some of the promo for this, Dr. Adriana and I did a little like pre-recorded live thing, like an impromptu conversation around like what to do about fame. All of a sudden, it's like Dr. Adriana is getting published in a whole bunch of different places. She's sort of blowing up.
Blowing up and melting down.
Blowing up and melting down all at one time.
Yeah. I mean, and similar for you with your business, right? And it was just, it's sort of like, nobody talks about that part. Like, okay, I'm asking to reach more people. I asked for a full practice with a wait list, and then I got it, and then everyone's like, that's great. And I'm like, no, it's actually, in reality, it's not great because I'm having to say no to people. And that feels really uncomfortable. And it starts pushing you up against things you didn't even know were there.
That's what's the really, really cool one. And it's the thing that nobody talks about. Everybody talks about in all, no matter what modality you're studying or on or working with. Dr. Adriana has a very full gamut of different tools and modalities that she works with. She's a renowned energy psychologist. So she's got a lot of tools and a lot of different ways of creating, which is always the thing. Everybody talks about like, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing. But what happens when all of that comes at one time and you're not necessarily prepared for it?
Yeah.
And welcome to the topic today.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Adriana, do you want to talk a little bit more about that, or shall I just dive into some questions? We do have a little bit of a tight schedule today, guys, so we're going to be sticking pretty close to time. So if something's not said that you wanted to hear about, please reach out to us. Reach out in the Facebook group, send us an email. We love you. We love to hear from you. And we would love to hear if you want to hear more about this topic or a different one that pops while we're talking, just be really clear and we'll address it for you.
I just have a little quick anecdote that I think, again, speaks to this. I have a client I've been working with for a long time, and she actually did like a year-long business coaching class with me. And she's been, getting steadily more and more successful. And just last night I had a session with her, and through this magical creation, she managed to buy a home in San Francisco Bay Area, which is, insanely expensive. And it just sort of fell into her lap throughout not in a conventional route. And she was sitting there going, oh my God. And I said, this is what you've asked for, showing up. She's like, I know. And she had all this weird stuff coming up around it, but do I deserve it? Is it really okay? And I was watching her mind try to create a problem. Like, I don't know, there was a thing with the neighbors there. And what about, I've had bad experiences with other landlords. And like I watched her mind start spinning, trying to create a problem where there wasn't one. Because in her mind, she had a point of view that she didn't deserve it, that something like this had to be really hard. That who was she to have such ease with it when her family has struggled so much with stuff? Like, it brought up so many what I would call subconscious beliefs that keep us from being congruent with actually receiving what we're asking for.
Cool. Okay. And so then what happened with her?
Well, so we just started working on all that. I mean, it's obviously very fresh, right? She's got the house. We're going to, she's moving forward with it, but we have to start clearing, yes, all of those beliefs of I don't deserve it. It should have been harder than this. What's my family going to think? How dare I be a homeowner? Nobody else owns a home in my family, those types of things. So we started clearing all those beliefs.
Cool. Okay. And so can I ask you, like, personally, has the blowing up, melting down become any easier, or what kind of tools are you using to kind of receive what you've been asking for?
Well, yeah, obviously I use my tools. I use the access clearing statement a lot. I use my Be Set Free Fast queue. I get facilitation. I work with practitioners myself to work through my things. It's been a little easier. I think also prioritizing self-care, which is something we tend to not do when we get really busy. Like if your business starts really booming, you want to be there for all parts of it. Delegating out, asking other people's help, with things, offloading some of the things that I had on my plate, making more time for sleep, just all those things, basic self-care has been really important. And making choices, like what are my priorities here? How am I going to keep up this pace if I'm not taking care of myself?
Yeah, gosh, sort of like literally just being present with it.
Yeah.
Too, right? Which reminds me, some people were asking about sessions and stuff. You're going to kill me because I know how full you are, but we will actually post a link to book a session with Dr. Adriana for like those lovely little slices of time, because I know it is kind of tough to get out of it on your own. I mean, you and I facilitated each other, even just in that conversation that changed a lot of it. But like, that's why there's like people like Dr. Adriana around, and even friends and people to like help facilitate you. Cause it's, yeah, I mean, if that's what it's for, right? So we'll make sure that's really easy to find for everybody. Do you mind if I jump into the questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, right on. So number one, how can you ask for a good financial situation and success in your business, and what will it take to receive it? We might have already kind of gone over that, but if there's anything that pops specifically with regard to money.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to get clear on your target. I mean, ask and receive is a thing that totally works, but you have to be very clear in your ask, and you have to be willing to receive it. So what does a good financial situation even mean? That sounds kind of vague, right? So what does that mean? And it might start with a question. What would it take to bring in, for my business to bring in at least 10 grand a month, right? You might put some targets, but remember that anytime you're putting a money specific target, make it at least. Don't ever say like, what would it take to have 10 grand a month coming in? What would it take to have at least 10 grand or more? You always want to be opening up to greater possibilities and to the universe gifting you even more. So, or what would it take to have at least 20 clients a week, something like that. Put a tangible target out there and ask for that. That's one place to start. And then as you start receiving that, then your ask has to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Some people would, for example, in Access have talked about, what would it take to, when I fly, to fly business class, no longer have to sit and coach like a sardine, what would it take to travel business class? And then as they would get more and more experiences of that, they go, well, what would it take to travel in first class? And now certain people we know, like the kind of people at the top of Access, the creators and founders, are flying private because that was their next ask. So what would it take to fly private? And I'm pretty sure the next one will be, what would it take to have our own plane? So you have to keep making your ask bigger and bigger as you start receiving what it is you're asking for. And then the receiving part, it's just what I was saying earlier. It's like clearing the blocks that you don't deserve it, or that something bad's going to happen if you get it, so that you don't sabotage yourself and then ruin, or put up a judgment. Like I don't deserve it as a judgment that creates a block. So you can't actually, the universe can't deliver what you're asking for.
Right. Okay, cool. And then that actually kind of pops us into our second question, even though this second question, my apologies for whoever wrote this, because it's like not totally clear. So I'm going to kind of riff off of it a little bit, but because it's also what Adriana's sort of spoken about already, but it does bring in something else around like the body. So asking for a CSET apartment now for several months here at my place to rent, nothing is showing up that makes my body say, wow, this is it. How do I deal with that? So that has kind of been addressed. But one thing that I'm kind of wondering is, I mean, we've probably killed so many creations in getting actually what we've wanted, like literally addressing this topic right now. I'm getting everything I've asked for. Oh shit, now what? Even if you're asking that question, at least you're addressing and like acknowledging that something is showing up. But like, can you talk a little bit about maybe like the value of acknowledgement, even just like acknowledging that it's coming, because it's intense sometimes, right?
Right. Well, there was a funny term coined by one of the people who works in Access called acknowledgize. She's Italian, and she was trying to say acknowledge and actualize, and somehow she combined them into this word acknowledgize. And that became a real topic of conversation for a while, because if you're not acknowledging what it is that you are asking for and creating, and when it actualizes and when it shows up, you will tend to actually destroy all of it and start from ground zero. So you have to, even if you created a giant pile of poo, you want to acknowledge that, hey, I am a really powerful creator and I created a pile of poo. Doesn't really work for me. What else could I create that actually, might work better? But to acknowledge it, because in that you're acknowledging your power and your potency, and that's super important in creation. If you are functioning from a point of view of things happen to me, or I'm waiting for something to happen, like I'm waiting for this apartment to show up, yes, it may be that the opening hasn't shown up yet, but is there also an element of almost like passivity, or like I'm a victim waiting for things to happen to me, or something like that? We don't want to get into that line of thinking. You are the creator of this. You might want to ask, do I have a block to receiving it? Or is it just not time yet? Is now the time is a great question, because we get impatient and we want it now. And we're like, universe, TikTok, where's my house? Where's my this or that? And sometimes the universe doesn't work on our timetable. So you could ask, is now the time? And if it's a no, then you got to find a way to just be in allowance of that, be patient. And what would it take for me to have ease with this?
Right. Cool.
Also, you can do energy pulls. I don't know if that person's doing energy pulls, but that would be another one. I would get real clear on the energy of what you want your seaside apartment to be like and feel like with your body, and start pulling, if you know the energy ball exercise, start pulling energy to that. And then, because I've created office spaces this way, and then what happens is you walk into the place and you just like immediately know, oh, this is it. This matches the energy of what I was asking for. So that's a useful exercise for actualization as well.
I love that. That's so smart too, because in that way, it's almost like if you can be really good at like finding out what the energy of that would be like, you're almost like preparing yourself for the like, whoosh, holy shit, this is too much thing. Because it's like, you're like kind of like, I don't know, like energetically congruent to sizing with it or something.
I mean, I walked into the office I had before this current one that I had for 8 years. Like when I walked in there, it was greater than I could imagine. And it was way more expensive than I was thinking. And I was like, oh my God, can I afford this? Like, but I knew it was the spot and it was so wonderful. And I'm like, there's got to be a way, and I asked questions. I asked, if I choose this office versus another one that I could afford that wasn't nearly as nice, I asked, if I choose this office, what will my life be like 5 years from now? What will my business be like from 5 years from now? And it was so light and expansive. And really all it required was like one extra session a week to be able to pay for that. And I'm like, and so I just asked universe, what would it take for one more client to show up to help pay, this extra money for this office? And it all showed up. In retrospect, it was so ease filled. It was just like so easy. It was almost surprising that it all came together like that. But I asked questions.
Cool. Okay, I love this. I love this question. There's a couple little layers here, but okay. So, what do you suggest to not stop a creation because getting scared of manifesting too fast, or getting what you asked but not being ready to receive it because you're afraid of your own creation? So,
pop and pot it. I mean,
what do you do when you're afraid of your own creation?
I know. Well, so okay. Here, how about maybe it's this conversation. So, are you actually afraid of it, or are you excited? Right. The energy of fear and the energy of excitement are actually exactly the same, like physiologically. And the metaphor I often give with this is that of a roller coaster. If you're standing in line at the amusement park, ready to go on a roller coaster, half the people in the line are going, oh my God, it's going to be so much fun. Ah! And half the people in the line are going, oh my God, we're going to die. but their bodies are experiencing the exact same thing. Their heart's racing, their hands might be sweaty, they've got that heart, the breathing gets shallow, they've got that like amped up response, but the difference is in how they're labeling it, right? One group has the point of view of this is going to be great, and one has the point of view of this is going to be really scary. So what point of view are you choosing? If you're calling it fear, is it actually fear, or is it an excitement? Like, I'm excited that what's showing up, it's actually showing up. Wow. And if you chose excitement, might that then ease some of the fear? The other thing is, if you do access, you could clear the distractor implants of fear, because that's not real anyways. And I often will ask a question that helps bring up more information for people to then clear what comes up. What do you think is going to happen if this shows up? Right? Like with fame, like I told you when we were having our conversation, one of the things that I always had this projection and expectation around fame is that all the crazies will come out, and I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to deal with stalkers and weirdos, and like I don't want to walk out in public and have people recognize me, like I like my anonymity. And so I had this idea that if I get successful, this bad thing is going to happen. So again, with these tools that we have to shift energies, we can identify that and then clear that energy.
Cool. Gosh, that was a loaded couple conversations. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's it for the questions that came in so far. There may be more coming in through the group, but we'll probably, just to make sure that everybody has time today, we'll probably leave those for next time if there are more questions that come in, guys. Great. Gosh, like we touched on a lot of stuff. Thank you, Adriana.
I'm quick like that.
Yeah, you are quick like that. I love it. This should probably be listened to. If any of that brought up anything for any of you guys, you should probably listen to this like at least 15 times. I personally will, because a lot of this is up in my world right now. So I'm personally grateful. Thank you. And otherwise, we'll thank you, Dr. Adriana. Thank you. Thanks for everybody that watched us today and everybody watching in the future. And we'll have our next date posted very soon. Anything else you wanted to leave on that note, Dr. Adriana?
Well, maybe since we have time, we could do an energy ball exercise. How about that?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So imagine in front of you, you have a ball, and you're going to put into this ball the energies of whatever it is you'd like to create. Maybe it's about that business. Maybe it's about that house at the seaside, whatever it is, but whatever it is you'd like your life to be. It could be very general like that, or it could be very specific, like this apartment, this business, more clients, whatever. So get a sense for what you want to put in this ball. And so if it's about like your life, then maybe you want to just have some, not super specific, but like, people in your life who are really fun, who are adventurous, who have your back. For a business, it might be those specific targets, at least 10 grand a month. Really interesting projects to work on. People who really want to receive what you have to offer. Loyal customers, something along those lines, right? You might put that in there. With a home, it might be the qualities of the home, like big spacious rooms, tall ceilings, lots of windows, natural light, a space that when you're in it feels expansive, feels nurturing, feels safe, feels comfortable. Get that. It's like the specific kinds of energies. And let's see, I'm going to do something for myself too. I'm going to do a home because I've been wanting a home. So like my home, when I look out the window, I see redwood trees, right? And it has some of those spacious qualities. And there's this real sense of communion with earth. And there's water somehow, like running water or some sort of water around it. So, it doesn't have to be very specific. And it might not even be as specific as that. It's more like, it could also be, what's the feeling you have when you wake up in the morning in this space? Or what's the feeling, the energy you experience when you are doing your books at the end of the month and you see so much more money showed up with your business than you ever imagined? Like that enthusiasm, that excitement, we put all those energies in the ball, okay? And so now we need to bring the ball to life. So we're going to pull energy from all over the universe through the ball, through us and our bodies, because it's like we're fueling it, we're feeding it, we're giving it all this energy to bring it to life. So it's like in there, remember like those electric like globes that you would go like this and the like electricity would move around in them. That's kind of how I picture it sometimes. We're pulling all this energy through the ball to bring it to life through us and our bodies. Pull, 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 bigger, 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 more, 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 more. Woo, right? Until you really feel like it's popping. And then you let little trickles of that unique vibration that's in your ball go out in the world and ping the people, places, things, situations, everyone and everything that can contribute to actualizing that. Let it ping all those people and things and whatever, and then pull them into, like, let them just get caught into like the pull from the universe, so that you're like a magnet now and you're pulling them to you and you're trickling out and you're pulling them to you and pulling still from the universe, pulling the energy through them, right? From the universe towards you, trickling out. So we got a pull and a flow and a pull and a flow, right? We kind of got that going. Cool, cool, cool. And then we let it go. And this is where you have to surrender attachment of when it's going to show up, how it's going to show up, what it's going to look like. You really have to let go of all of that, because ask and receive is a 50-50 creation between you and the universe. Your job is to ask, and this energy ball is a form of an ask. It's an energetic ask. And then the universe's job is to deliver it to you. You just got to get out of the way now of receiving it. So you might want to look at, if you're going to go to the next step, so you can keep doing this energy ball exercise every day, every week, every so often. Really let go of those attachments, and then ask yourself, am I truly willing to receive what I've asked for? And if you are not, if you find that, oh no, it's too much, or I don't really deserve it, or what would happen if I really got it, start using your tool of choice. If you do access consciousness, you would do the clearing statement, right? The POC and potting. If you do be set free fast, you would use your cue. If you do tapping, you could tap on it. There's many, many, many ways to clear those energies that are blocking the receiving.
Gold. That was a solid gold. Thank you so much. What a brilliant way to end this. Oh, thank you. Gosh, you do it in a different way than I've ever heard anybody else. There's a lot of energy in that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wicked. Wicked. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Dr. Adriana. It is so nice to see you. So nice to be leaving on that note. Thank you, everybody, so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.